Hello, my name is Dr. Tom Bennett. I'm with the Battleship New Jersey and the Kane University Oral History Project. Today is July 19th, the year 2012, and we're aboard the Battleship New Jersey, which is berthed in Camden, New Jersey. And today I'm lucky to talk with Mr. William C. Brady, who served aboard the Battleship New Jersey during 1968 to 69 and had an entire 22-year period of service with the U.S. Navy. During that time, he served on a number of ships, including the Battleship New Jersey, but he also served on the USS Mahan DDG-42, the USS Yellowstone AD-27, the USS J.A. FSG-6, and the USS Canisteo AO-99. Bill, thank you so much for talking with us today. Let's start off the conversation, Bill. You were in the Navy for a long time, but at some point you decided to go into the Navy. What made you join the Navy?
Well, I was in high school and I wasn't doing too good. So when I was in 11th grade, I told my folks that I was going in the Coast Guard. And I tried to get in the Coast Guard, but they had 11-month waiting list because of Vietnam.
In what year was that, please?
And that was 1966. And so I walked by the Navy recruiter's office, and he said, "You ever think about joining the Navy?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess so." I said, "The Coast Guard's filled up." And he said, "Come on in and take the test." I signed my name on the answer sheet for the test, and he said, "You passed." He said, "When can you take a physical?" So 3 weeks later, I was on my way to boot camp in Great Lakes on April the 7th, 1966.
1966. And tell us a little bit about boot camp. How long was it? What was it like?
It was 10 weeks and 5 days. And, well, we didn't, it was cold when I first got there. I mean, April in Great Lakes, it was nasty. And it wasn't too bad. I mean, we didn't do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, a lot of, classroom stuff, but nothing. I didn't care for the gas chamber and stuff like that when they threw you in there. And then we had firefighting school and most of your schools for and stuff.
And then once you're finished with boot camp, did you go, what happens next? Tell us what happened.
Well, after I got out of boot camp, I took a couple weeks leave and then went aboard the USS Yellowstone. It was a destroyer tender out of Mayport, Florida. And I was on there as a baker on there for 2 years. Almost 2 years.
I see. Did they send you to baker school at all, or was it on-the-job training?
On-the-job training. They sent me right. Well, I went and I did 6 months in the galley first as a cook, and then they sent me into the bake shop, and I was there for a little over a year.
Tell me, how do they train a baker? Is it just watching somebody else?
It was hands-on training with another person. And he taught me, how to mix up the dough and stuff like that, and the cakes and pies and stuff. And
good. So you're in the bake shop, and you just learn by doing, I guess, and watching somebody.
Right.
And what are the things you would ultimately bake?
Anything you can find in a pastry shop, from bread to pies, cakes, cookies. Lots of cookies and stuff like that. But the main thing was bread when you was out to sea. In port, most of the time they bought bread from the local vendors, but once you get out to sea, you'd have to bake your own.
And what type of bread? Was it all white bread?
Mostly white bread.
At the time,
every once in a while we'd throw in a little, if we had rye or whole wheat flour.
And how many people did you have aboard the USS Yellowstone?
There was 350 people.
350. So you had when you were cooking, did you cook mostly during the day, or was it like 24 hours duty?
Cooking, you cooked mostly during the day, but the bakers mostly baked at night.
Oh, really? So you're working at night a lot then?
I worked lots of night shifts. and which I love. I love to work at night.
And then what would you do during the day? Sleep, I guess? Sleep in and...
Yeah, unless they had general quarters or a drill or something like that, then they'd get you up for that.
So now, as a baker, I've talked to other bakers who served on a ship in World War II, Korea, and so on, and they always said it was a good job. They always liked it. Why was it a good job?
Great job, because nobody messed with you. You know, when you was in port, I mean, you wasn't in a duty section, so, I mean, if you was off, you could leave the ship.
I see.
Yeah.
And did they call you for any other duties while you were at sea as a baker, or did they let you sleep in?
Just your regular drills, your general quarter, man overboard.
Ammunition transfer.
Yeah.
Ammunition transfer. Transfer of ammunition commences at 1,400 hours.
A little bit of the Navy coming aboard.
Multi-land is
Right.
out throughout the ship. All designated personnel man your ammunition transfer quarters to receive ammunition forward. Staying clear, forward of frame 100, aft of frame 137. Now ammunition transfer. This is a drill, this is a drill.
Now, I understand also that bakers and cooks all had to take showers all the time. Is that correct? And had to be clean. Where
Right.
a lot of the seamen, if you're at sea for a while and you're short of water, they had to wash with salt water. Is that correct?
Right, yes.
So in effect, you're clean all the time with clean clothes on, where some of the other guys would be a little dirty and grungy
Right.
after a period of time. I see. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what was life like aboard a destroyer tender?
Well, see, we would, destroy a tender, you had destroyers tie up alongside of you, and then you would fix whatever they needed to be fixed or anything like that, and if they were working on their galley, we'd feed their crew also.
Oh, I see.
And if they was repairing or something like that at their galley, they'd send over a couple cooks and they'd work along with us, and then we would feed their crew.
I see.
in
And
port.
it's interesting, I think, for whoever listens to this at some point in the future, a good friend of mine had been a Navy cook working in the mess area for his term of duty on a destroyer, and he said to me, I asked him once, was the food good? And he said it was excellent because all the food recipes were prepared by professional chefs. And he later took these recipes with him off the ship, opened up a restaurant, used the same recipes in Boston to cook his food, and it was a very popular restaurant. So is that true that the food actually served and the recipes are actually quite good?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, some of them are, and some of them, I mean, I could throw out, you know.
What were the bad ones? What were the bad ones?
Oh, I can't, I mean, I can't remember them, you know, and stuff like that, but, I mean, a few of them, see, I don't like a lot of green peppers, and they used to throw a lot of green peppers in there, and we had dehydrated green peppers most of the time, and they were nasty.
And so did the crew ever complain about foods on any of the ships you're on? That, you know, like one type of meal the crew just didn't like?
Well, when I was on board the Canisteo, the oiler, see, it was cannibalized in 1968, and they added a 100-foot section to the middle of it. Well, back in World War II in Korea, they had facilities for 125 people. But then, when they lengthened the ship 100 feet, they added a crew of 350, and the galley facilities were just nasty. You had to have lunch done almost by the time you got breakfast served. You had one guy serving breakfast, and then you had the other guy. He was steady working on lunch in order to get it ready and get it done on time.
And the Canisteo was also a destroyer tender?
No, it was an oiler.
An oiler, I'm sorry, oiler, okay.
Oiler.
And so it was a World War II ship which they simply expanded
Right.
and used as an oiler then?
Right.
And you were kept very busy in a small galley if you
Oh,
arrived
yes,
then.
very small.
When did you serve in that ship? About what years?
Well, that was just 87 and 88, just before I retired.
So that ship was very old at that
That
time.
was my last ship.
And
Yeah,
what-
they decommissioned it, I think, in early 90s.
So that ship had been involved in World War II. It was a 50-year-old ship.
Right.
Was it in good shape when
No.
you're...
No. If it, I tell everybody, if it would have been my first ship, it would have been my last ship.
It was that bad?
Yes.
Why? Tell us about it.
Well, that because the facilities are so small and stuff like that, and you know, your bunk space and stuff like that. It's set up for 125 people, and you got 350 on board.
So everybody's sleeping all over.
Oh, yeah.
But by that time you were a first class.
First class.
And so you had your own area to sleep in, probably, right?
No.
Oh, you
no,
slept
I
just
slept with the
with everybody.
right.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. So as a final tour
They
of
had
your
27 people in our compartment,
wow.
and it wasn't just about as big as this place is here, maybe a little bigger.
How was the crew's morale on a ship like that?
Rotten. Yeah. I mean, that was like I said, the worst.
And what did the officers do and the chiefs do to try and make it as best as possible? Did they understand the conditions that the men were working under?
Some did and some didn't, you know. They didn't, and a lot of them didn't care, you know. And and the CO on there, he had to be on a deep draft ship, and he was trying to get on a carrier. In order to get on a carrier, you have to go on a deep draft ship to be qualified to be a carrier captain.
So the oil was
he wasn't very sympathetic either.
So he didn't really want to be there.
Right.
He just was waiting for his promotion to go to a carrier.
Right.
So he was ready to become captain of a carrier.
Right.
And was oiler duty in the Navy, was that considered a sexy type duty or not? Or
No.
It isn't?
No, it's not one of your prestigious commands.
And how do people get assigned to it? Just by the toss of the dice? Is that what happened?
Well, that was it. I was coming from overseas, and they give me a choice to either go on the go to East Coast, which my two boys were living with my parents in Michigan, or go to the West Coast, go to California. So I picked the East Coast, and I had two years left to retire.
And that was the ship that was available at the time.
Right.
Tough time is a way to round up your career in the Navy.
That was it. Yeah.
Now, I assume then after you served with the Yellowstone, the next ship would be the USS New Jersey?
Right.
And talk a little bit about that, about the mess facilities on the New Jersey. And
Well, you want to me to tell you how I got on there?
Sure, tell us that.
Okay, I had a friend of mine. He said they're asking for volunteers to go to New Jersey and go to Vietnam and stuff like that. And he said, let's you and me sign up under the buddy plan. He was a barber on board the ship, and he used to hang out in the bake shop all the time. And I said, yeah, man, I think that'd be cool. So we both put in the request to come aboard the New Jersey, and he got denied, and mine got approved.
So the buddy system didn't quite work for him, but it worked for you then. is what you're saying, right?
I was sent to San Diego for pre-com school. And
What is pre-con school?
pre-commissioning school.
Pre-commission. Oh, because you become a plank owner. So you're a plank owner of the Battleship New Jersey.
Well, actually, a plank owner is when they lay the keel.
Right, but they've had several plank
Right,
owners every time
right.
it's brought back again,
Right.
as it did. So, so tell us, what did the ship look like when it was being brought back into transit?
When we got to Philadelphia, it was a mess. Well, we come back and we come on board, I think, in the end of February, I think, something like that. End of February, 1st of March, and all the contractors had all their lines running all over the place for your steam lines, electrical lines, and the whole works. And we lived on board a floating dry dock at first. We got here and lived on well, no, it wasn't a floating dry dock. It was floating barracks.
And what were the conditions like in that floating dock?
Cramped, tight, ventilation. Well, it was cold on there, and stuff. It was April when we got here in Philadelphia and stuff like that, and then I was taken out of the bake shop because they had took a lot of A school people that went through cook school and stuff like that, and I wasn't a designated seaman. I was just a deck seaman, and they put me on the deck force, and I was on there for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months.
While the ship went to sea, or?
While the ship went to sea and stuff like that, doing all the salute everything that moved and paint everything that didn't.
And what's it like tell us about your duties on the deck force. What area of the ship did you maintain?
Well, we took care of the starboard side, the 5-inch along the main deck and 01 level, where the 5-inch guns are. And during general quarters, my general quarters station was in I was a Powderman on the right gun and Mount 53.
5-inch gun.
5-inch guns. I loaded the powder, and then the guy in front of me loaded the projectile, and the guy behind me had the hot case.
How did you like that duty?
Oh, I loved it. I loved
being in a 5-inch gun.
I loved loading the gun.
Why? Why'd you like it?
Yeah, it was just, the adrenaline rush, throwing the bullets in.
So, but before we get on to the 5-inch gun, what was deck? I assume if you're on deck duty for 6 or 8 months, you're out in all types of weather, all conditions, right?
Right.
It's considered one of the tougher jobs aboard a ship.
Right. We had to, we'd get up an hour before, just about an hour before reveille, and then we'd have to sweep down, and if we was out of sea, then we'd wash down, and or coming into port, we had to do a freshwater wash down, and anytime you seen rust in an area, you had to chip the paint and feather it out, and then paint it over with red lead, and then with haze gray,
and that would be your daily routine.
That would be the daily routine, just about every day.
Sure.
And
now, how did you go from being on the deck back into the bake area?
Well, see, I had all my courses done for third-class commissaryman, and I had all my practical factors in and everything like that. So all I had to do was, as soon as the next tests come up and everything, I took the test for third-class cook. And the tests come up in September, and the results come back in, I think, November the 16th. And
so the test is taken aboard the ship,
right,
and then it's sent, I guess, by air, by destroyer, whatever, back to, where is it graded? Back in headquarters in Washington?
Washington, right.
Washington. Okay,
right.
So you passed the test.
I passed the test, and as soon as the results come back in, well, back then they had teletype and stuff like that, and when the results come back in, I made third class. Then they put me down in the. Then I went to the bake shop.
And describe the bake shop aboard the Battleship New Jersey. What's it like, the quality, conditions, and so on?
Oh, the bake shop on board here was great. I mean, you had plenty of room to move around and stuff like that, and you could get things done. You had a big dough mixer to make out a couple hundred loaves of bread and stuff like that. So I mean, you just had enough people in the bake shop and stuff like that, so you could pump out a good product.
How many sailors would be in the bake shop?
Well,
on a watch?
we had 2 on each watch, and then you had the the guy that was in charge of the bait shop. If you needed a hand every once in a while, he'd step in and give you a hand, stuff like that.
And how many loaves of bread a day would that bait shop produce?
Well, we'd probably do 200 to 300 loaves a day.
And that's how many pounds of flour? I don't want to be, sorry to be so
Well,
technical, but it's interesting.
there's close to 1 pound of flour for each pound of bread.
Wow, so you'd be a couple hundred,
Each loaf of bread.
200 to 300 pounds of flour a day
Right.
you'd be producing. That's quite a bit. How did the men like the food coming, how was the food coming out of the kitchen in Battleship, New Jersey?
It was good. See, the galley usually served, out at sea, they'd serve 1,200 meals. A lot of, at lunchtime, not everybody get up for breakfast. It's 600, 700 meals for breakfast in the morning. And then it's, import was a lot different.
What was it like then to go before Captain J. Edward Snyder and Captain's Mast for missing a week of service?
I just missed the weekend.
Weekend, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
weekend.
I took a long weekend.
Okay.
See. And, I was scared,
How old were you at the time? 19,
Oh,
20?
I was only 19.
19. So
Or 18 or 19.
when you took the weekend off, did you realize you would get in trouble maybe?
Well, I knew I was going to get in trouble. I just didn't know how much trouble I was going to get into. And see, if it hadn't been for my big mouth in front of the XO, I probably wouldn't have got what I did get. See.
What did you say to the XO? So you went to the XO for
Yeah,
for
he went to
discipline.
XO's investigation first, and he asked me if I'd do it again, and I said, yes, sir, under the same circumstances I would. And I told him that twice, and he slammed his fist down on his desk and said, Captain's Mast. And my chief that went in there with me, he said, you dumbass. He says, if you'd have said no, he'd have let you go. But not me. I had to be a hard head.
Part of being young, right?
Yeah.
Part of being young.
Yeah,
So you went.
yeah.
What did Captain Snyder say to you?
Well, we had just gotten underway. We were doing our underway training and stuff like that. And I guess the XO told him and stuff like that. And after I asked him, I says, will this affect my leave? That's why you only give me 3 weeks instead of 30 days. He give me 21 days restriction and extra duty because I was going to, that was just before we was going to Vietnam, and I was going on leave at the time.
To see your kids up in Michigan, or
Well, no,
just
I
up in-
wasn't married then. I was
see.
only 19, and
So he was fairly decent to you then.
Yeah,
He was
oh, yeah,
understanding
yeah,
and
yeah.
so on. Yeah.
yeah, he let me slide with a week.
And where did he hold the captain's mask?
Right in the passageway, right outside of the wardroom.
Oh, I see.
They set up his podium. He was standing in the wardroom, and we were in the passageway outside the wardroom.
And how many guys do you recall roughly that day were lined up for captain's
There
mask?
was only 3 of us.
Right. So was there not much trouble aboard the ship then? People
Not-
usually did their jobs and
Not really. I mean, you had a few, but you probably had 3 or 4 people on restriction or extra duty at any one time, but that was it. I mean, there wasn't.
Did they ever send people down to the brig?
No.
That you knew of? No. So
No.
it wasn't that. There's no real serious trouble.
No,
then.
I think we had one guy that that got a court martial for smoking dope in the engine room, but that was about it.
Now, did you ever have to go to captain's mast again?
No,
You
that was
learned
the
first time.
That was the first and last time I ever went.
So later, after you've been in the Navy for some years, you're mentoring younger people. Did you ever tell them? Did this become part of your way to deal with the younger people? Say, now I did this, don't you do it?
Right. Yeah.
Did they listen to your advice?
Some did and some didn't.
They have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I
then.
took a few of them up after that.
You
You
did,
know.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what did you tell them after they got their punishment? Did you say you dumbass?
Yeah, that was
Something
it.
like that, basically.
Right.
Now, by the way, I've heard this from somebody else. As you're going towards Vietnam and you're going past Hawaii, there's evidently a man on the ship who had some problems. He was very opposed to the war. He jumped over the fantail. Did you ever hear about that?
Yes.
You did. Tell us what you know about that.
Well, I heard about it, and I think we looked around, and they called in the Coast Guard out of Hawaii to search for him and stuff like that, and then we had to do our search pattern and stuff like that, and we were along with with another ship, the Towers, number 9, and I think she searched for him also.
So a whole battleship then, which is traveling to Vietnam on very important duty, had to stop, turn around, and run search patterns?
Right. Well, you have to. It's if you lose somebody over the side and stuff like that.
And how long would the search
I
take?
think it was 72 hours before you could. I'm not sure if we did, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to, because I was on another ship, and we had to search for 72 hours.
What ship was that? Do you recall?
That was well, we didn't lose somebody. They lost a pilot off the Nimitz, and we was running escort for them when I was on the Mahan. And they found the co-pilot, and I don't know if they found the pilot or not, but we searched. I don't know. I think we searched after there for 72 hours. Or I think we searched for about 48 hours, and then they called the Coast Guard in or something, because we was right off the coast of Norfolk at the time.
Now, since you had such a long naval career, 22 years, do you recall many incidents that you were on ships where it happened, or you heard about on other ships where people would jump off or be thrown off? I've heard of somebody being thrown off a ship once, just to get rid of a chief somebody didn't like. I've heard about that. Did that happen fairly often?
No, I don't think so. I've heard about it, but I never, in the 20 years that I was in, I've never been on a ship. Well, except for that one time, that we've ever lost anybody over the side.